Hey everybody, Anthony Alfredo here. It's great to be back on Twitch. It's been a little while. Obviously, I was streaming a bunch last week and preparing for my race at Atlanta Motor Speedway, my Death Wish Coffee Chevrolet Camaro. Wanted to do a post-race Q&A. We've been doing this regularly after each event, which has been a lot of fun. I love answering your questions, and a lot of you have been able to listen on the scanner because NASCAR's offered that up for free on the NASCAR app for people to tune in. So you guys get an inside look or inside listen, I should say, at some of the things the team and I communicate with throughout a race. So I'm sure there'll be some questions regarding that. And we're also racing Homestead this weekend, which is a doubleheader, Saturday and Sunday, for the NASCAR Xfinity series. So I'm pumped to run 2 days in a row because most of these tracks recently, especially with no practice, you finish the race and you want to start from scratch. You know, you want to go back and restart because of all the things you learned. You want to go back and apply. So I'm looking forward to being able to do that this weekend. And I'll be back in the iRacing colors. Have our iRacing number 21 Chevrolet Camaro ripping the high line at Homestead. We all know you got to run right against the fence there to go fast, so that's going to be a blast. And this past weekend we had an awesome blacked out with the red lightning bolt Death Wish scheme. It looked so incredible. One of the better looking cars I've ever driven. So looking forward to going over the race with you guys. So I'm going to answer your questions here. I've got the chat up. So we'll start rolling. But welcome everyone to the stream. This first stream back, as I said, since last week. It's been a little bit, but we'll hop on iRacing later this week. I'm not sure if I'll be on tonight. I do have the Barstool League on Thursday night, the first official race of that league, so I'll be running that, and then we'll probably run some official stuff. So week 13's over, so we got our C-Class, and we are trying to work on our dirt oval, off-road, and our regular pavement road licenses. So we can pick up the work on that later this week. But nonetheless, let's get started here with the Q&A and anything related to this past weekend, and then we'll try to save questions for next weekend towards the end of this, just to keep it organized. Adrian subscribed with Twitch Prime, 3 months now. Welcome back to the Sauce Mafia. Keeping the streak going. Dom, Dead Poets, Dave, Ryan, Drew, Jenny, Dom, Josh, James, Dude, Watson, Robbie, Kobe, Joshua. I love seeing you all in here. Okay. So, that paint job was excellent. Yes, it was. Can you show the lamp? Oh, the lamp is it's just metal. What are you talking about? Let me see if I get this. Oh, I can't go much closer with the mic without it pulling into frame. We're going to try to avoid that. It's not that crazy. It's just like metal bent on 3 sides. I think it looks weird because of the body panels behind it. Your reaction to the caused throttle to stick during the Xfinity race over the weekend. That's a great question. So, we actually are going to be diagnosing that at the shop this week. We don't think it's anything mechanical, so it's got to be something the interior, possibly with my booty or my shoe. So we'll get that straightened out for sure for the next one. Fortunately, we fixed it by the end of the stage. We whatever was cleared itself, and I somehow it figured itself out, thankfully. But it was very difficult to deal with that problem, and that kind of put us behind in the beginning of the race for sure. Congratulations on the top 10. Thank you. So, yeah, we got another top 10. So, in my first 3 NASCAR Xfinity Series starts, I have an average finish of 10th, which is something to be proud of for sure. I'm proud of us as a whole team. You know, we've got great people, great equipment, and I feel like I've been doing my job, and learning as fast as I can because we don't have practice. So, I would expect those results to be a little bit better if we had practice. But I have to spend the first part of the race just figuring out the tracks or the cars still. I'm learning and how to drive them at these certain tracks. So It's definitely very challenging, and it puts you a little bit behind from the start, but I think it's been going really well so far, and running the top 10 in the Xfinity Series isn't easy to do. It's like a whole different race when you get inside of the top 12. It's so competitive. So that throttle sticking issue in the beginning of the race definitely put us behind, because once we got it fixed, we restarted on the final restart 7th, and right when I fired off there, you got to drive so much harder around those guys, and I did my best, but unfortunately we were on the splitter, so the car was bottoming out on the front end in the beginning of that run, which made it really difficult to turn. So unfortunately, if we had been up there earlier, we wouldn't have that problem. The pit crew also didn't get the full adjustment the last stop, and that not only would have helped clear with the splitter clearance, it allowed me to fire off better, but it actually would have helped later in the run, because I wouldn't have been so free. I was really loose. The car was really sideways, and that's what I fought most of the race, and it was definitely a big struggle come the end of the race. Ton of people have questions about the throttle. Yeah, so booty, that's actually funny you say that. So I said booty, but what I mean by the booty, it's a cup that goes around your heel, and it's really a heat shield is what it is, because your feet can get really hot in the race car. So that I had a new one on this weekend, and with no practice, these are the things you fight. You could figure out these things in the race and work out these kinks, but unfortunately, that was an issue we had, and we think that's what the problem was with. So we'll make sure it doesn't happen again. I have a new set to be wearing this time that will work a lot better. Let me find where I'm at here. I kind of lost where I was at. Okay, so yeah, it must have been pretty scary. It was pretty sketchy for sure, but I was able to deal with it and kind of ride it out till that one caution where we came down pit road. But that put us a lap down, so it was difficult to bounce back from that. And we kind of had to race for the lucky dog, which we got that, and then we had to basically, I got the position for the lucky dog, but I had to ride it out until a caution came out to actually get our lap back. And then after that, we were able to rebound ultimately and have a great recovery to finish in the top 10 once again. Jinx, how you doing, bud? Thoughts on racing Dale Jr. this weekend? That's a fantastic question. So many of you may or may not know that I actually raced for Dale Jr. my third year racing, and there's some pictures. There you actually can't see any, but there's some in the back. I raced for his late model team, and I competed in the Cars Tour and some local races. Finished second in the Cars Tour Championship, won a few races. My biggest win was probably the Fall Brawl 200 at Hickory Motor Speedway, and it's going to be cool going back to racing, but the moral of the story is Dale Jr. is my favorite driver growing up. So to drive for him was a surreal experience. It was very cool. And now to be able to go race against him and compete with him at the national level is going to be really, really cool and something, it's going to be an awesome memory. So hopefully I can go have a great race, a successful race all around, and maybe beat Dale Jr. That'd be cool to say. Really good cohesion in your team. We do, absolutely. We communicate well together. I feel like we all understand each other well. We all get along and just have great chemistry overall. No, I'm not concerned about the throttle issues this week in Hound Nuggets, because that's a great question. So, once we kind of had that diagnosed, we shouldn't fight that now and be prepared for anything like that now going forward in the future. What's the most challenging thing about Martinsville as a rookie driver? So I'm not running Martinsville tomorrow night. Only the NASCAR Cup Series is racing there. But Martinsville is tough just because it's classic short track racing, but the difference is Martinsville is it's challenging because they stack up in the corner and there's no apron. You can't peek your left front out. There's that curb and you're just bumper to bumper. So you got to move people to pass them. Is about the only way, unless you're significantly faster than the guy in front of you. And the groove kind of moves around once rubber gets laid down. But I think it's going to be a really fun race to watch tomorrow night, especially because it's prime time on a weeknight. Nicely's just subscribed. Shout out to Nicely's once again. That would make it 3 months now. Congratulations. Thank you for the support. So Martinsville is going to be challenging tomorrow for especially the Cup rookies, but the Xfinity Series will race there later this year. As of now, I'm not running that race, but hopefully I get the opportunity to, because it's actually the first race back for the Xfinity Series there in quite a while. Will you be going back to racing soon? Oh, to iRacing soon. Oh, absolutely. iRacing's actually on my card this weekend at Homestead-Miami Speedway for both races, Saturday and Sunday. We'll definitely be streaming this weekend. We'll be running laps on iRacing at Homestead to prepare for the race, which I've already been doing in addition to watching plenty of film and studying the racetrack and how drivers attack it. Thank you for that support, Dead Poets. Can you explain how a restart works? That's a great question. So I'm not really, it's a little bit vague. I don't know if you want to clarify on that exactly, if you mean like shifting or what determines where you start, but I'll try to just run through everything. So obviously there's the initial start of the race, and based on how fast you qualify, your lap time in qualifying, which we currently don't have, so it's been a random drawing. So we had to start 24th. So we started in the back. I drove all the way to 13th by the lap 20 competition caution. And then we started having our issue. We kind of rode around there and then went a lap down, actually, when we pit to fix it at the next caution. So then we came back from that. So we drove from the back twice to have a top 10. It was a really solid rebound. But so typically, the restart, you have some sort of position to start the race. And you start side by side, and it's odd numbers on the inside row, even numbers on the outside, because it goes first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. The leader can choose top or inside lane. Now, when a caution comes out during the race, the field's essentially frozen, and wherever you are at is where you're going to restart, unless, of course, you pit, and you can gain or lose positions on pit road. So, if you pit in 13th and maybe you pick up 2 spots, you're going to restart 11th, which would be inside row, and come into the restart, the initial start, the flagman starts the race by waving the green flag. And on a restart, it's actually up to the leader to choose when to fire, so to speak, when he wants to go, and the rest of the field will follow suit. So you got to come through the gears. Our cars have four gears in them. So you'd restart first or second gear, shift to second or third, whichever you're going, and then, of course, third to fourth. And from there, you're pretty much good to go. But on a road course and stuff, you'd be shifting throughout the lap, of course, and there's a couple ovals where you even shift the car. Josh, how much do I miss having my PR guy at the track? A lot, man. I miss having you there, Josh. For those of you who don't know, JA94 Racer in the chat is a PR guy. He's the man. We got a couple interviews lined up this week. We'll be on SiriusXM later, too. Lucky Dog followed, and so did Kenzie. Welcome. Doing a post-real-life race Q&A right now, and then we'll do some pre-race questions for Homestead this weekend as well. You got your D license in road. Heck yeah. Hollered at the TV watching me race. Awesome. Get your first Xfinity win battling Dale Jr. on the final lap. That'd be a pretty cool story, huh? That'd be an incredible way to get my first Xfinity Series win. You made it when you get to the race against your NASCAR hero. That is true. It's one of those things where I'm going to be focused on doing my job when I'm at the track, and I'm there and want to win as bad as anybody else, if not more. So I won't lose focus while I'm on the track, but leading into it and then after, I'll probably look back on it and say, wow, that was pretty cool, and that's something I'll never forget. What's the goal for this year? That's an awesome question as well. So we've accomplished top 10 already. There's no qualifying currently, but one of my goals in qualifying is to qualify in the top 10. I've only got to actually qualify a NASCAR Xfinity Series car once. So hopefully we get back to that soon. Then it'd be qualifying, top 5, top 3, and hopefully get a pole or more than just one. And the same goes for finishing. We're clicking off these top 10s, and those will become top 8s and top 5s, then top 3s, and then it's going to be going for wins. And I know we're capable of doing that as a team. So take it one step at a time. So far, it's been going well. We've been smooth, consistent, had great speed, and been making the most out of our weekends, and that's all you can do. What track is the worst wheel spin on restarts? That's another great question. So I'd honestly probably say Atlanta Motor Speedway, where we raced this past weekend. It's extremely difficult to get hooked up. It's really easy to spin the tires even on new tires, and on old tires it's very, very challenging to get hooked up and have grip in the rear tires so that you can get rolling well. But everyone kind of faces the same problem, so if you do it right and everyone else does, you're all about the same speed. Maybe you get a better one than the guy in front, or maybe you don't and you kind of lose lose some ground to him getting into turn one. How do you know the best time to pit during a race? So typically a crew chief makes this decision, and it's based upon how far you can make it on fuel, how many laps are left in the race. You don't want to pit too early and your tires be so worn that guys that pit later catch you and pass you for the lead. I'm of course talking about you're trying to put yourself in position to win the race or have as great a finish as possible. So you want to make the most out of the tires you have. You don't want to use up all your tires in the pits. You got to make sure you can make it to the end of each stage or the end of the race on fuel. And those are very difficult decisions to make as a crew chief. Sometimes maybe you don't have a winning car, but you can pull some sort of pit strategy to win the race, which would essentially be pitting earlier or staying out longer than others, or maybe you don't pit under a caution and because you're running maybe 8th and you can restart on the front row, but you'll probably give up at least a spot or two. You try to maintain as much as you can on old tires, but all things like that are decisions that crew chiefs have to make, and they're not easy ones to make. And when it comes to tire management or tire strategy, it can be really hard at tracks like Atlanta or Homestead or Auto Club in Darlington because there's so much tire wear. The lap times fall off. It slow down so quickly because the tracks just chew up tires. It's like a cheese grater. I'm sure you guys saw the video of Larry Mack in the booth doing that to a tire, and that's essentially exactly what it's like. What challenges will Miami throw at you this weekend? So Homestead-Miami is going to be another challenging race for me in the NASCAR Xfinity series because that was my last Truck Series race last year, and we probably made 25 laps of practice, whatever it might be. I think we only had one session, so it might have been less than that. Could have been around 15 laps. Well, I didn't even get to start that race because they gave the command to fire engines and my truck wouldn't start, and they tried to give me a push start and the motor actually blew up on pit road before the race started. It was the craziest thing that's ever happened. Extremely frustrating. Did not want to end the year that way, but part of that is just crazy things that happen in racing, and I believe that God has a plan, so I trust in him, and there is some reason he didn't want me on track that night. But going back there, it's going to be difficult because I hardly have any laps, and it was in practice in a truck, which drives completely different. And of course, I didn't get to race, so I didn't really learn anything about the track, how the groove moves around. I didn't get to practice running up by the wall, which is the fastest way around that track. But I did run the wall quite a bit at Atlanta just because I was further back in traffic, and that worked out for me. So that's going to be important because if I remember to do that, or what I learned at Atlanta it's not going to translate super well, but I got a little bit of comfort running by the wall. And the best part is I'm teammates with Tyler Reddick, who has won the last 2 races there and the last 2 NASCAR Xfinity Series championships. He's a back-to-back champion, and he moved up to the Cup Series with Richard Childress Racing. So to have him to lean on as a teammate is going to be very valuable because that's arguably his best track. So he really knows how to get around there, and that's something I could utilize. When am I going on Sirius XM? It will be on Thursday afternoon, or I don't know what time yet, but sometime Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Josh? Does Atlanta need to be repaved? it should not be repaved. The racing's fantastic there right now because of the fact that it is not repaved. It's a multi-groove racetrack, and it's super rough, and it just has a lot of character. When you repave racetracks, it typically takes away from the excitement for the fans of the racing, just because it takes a while for the pavement to get worn enough where tire management becomes a big thing, and there's multiple grooves. But usually when they repave a track, there's so much grip on the bottom, or so much grip in the track surface, that the bottom's the fastest way around, and nobody can migrate up to the top and kind of make speed in other places. Get a W. That's the plan. Drew, what announcement? Am I missing something? How big of a difference was it between the trucks last year and the Xfinity cars at Atlanta? That's another awesome question. So, Atlanta Motor Speedway was my first ever race in a NASCAR truck, and they drive way different than the Xfinity cars. Big difference in horsepower. The biggest difference is aerodynamics. The trucks have a lot of downforce and side force, much like the current Cup Series cars do. The Xfinity cars don't have that, so they slip and slide a lot more, and you're trying to manage more power with less grip. In the race, obviously, we race at different time of year too, so it's hotter, there's less grip in the racetrack, but with less downforce and side force, the cars are harder to drive, and they slide around and are hard to just make speed out of, and I guess just drive in a straight line, not be slinging it sideways and burning up your tires. So it was a lot different. The other thing was Atlanta is one of my favorite tracks. It still is, and that being my first truck race, I wanted to go back there so bad when I had more experience, and it was my third Xfinity Series race, so I was a little bit more comfortable. But like I said, it was way different. It might as well have been going to a new track, but I still really enjoyed it. Thank you, YouTube Anthony. I appreciate that. Did they sell the Death Wish hats? I'm sure you can get them online. Death Wish website, and we're doing a giveaway actually with a different one. It's gray and black with a cool old school logo. So check that out. Just be sure to follow me on social media at Anthony Alfredo, and we'll be posting that soon. So Derek and I have been working really well together. He's a pleasure to have on the radio, and last week we really fought the handling with the car, and he helped me a lot with just giving me information where the leaders were running and where I was making the most speed, because sometimes you can't tell in the car if you're going fast or not at a certain spot of the racetrack. You can't see your lap time. So, he'll let me know my lap time, and maybe, some places aren't faster, but you're able to have less wear on the tire. And what we fought in the car was just a lot of inconsistency. It was really twitchy. It wasn't very stable, and it was really hard to do the same thing over and over again. So Derek was kind of getting on me about hitting my marks and running the same line, that I'd run a fast lap and the next lap wouldn't be as fast, and I struggled to be consistent. And it wasn't really something I was doing as much as the car was so twitchy. I really struggled to replicate each fast lap. So that's why one time I came over the radio, and I just let him know, I'm like, look, the car's really twitchy, so I know you and my crew chief and everybody listening, I was just letting them know that I was doing all I can to make as much speed out of the car, but it's just very difficult when you're in that position, because you could run a fast lap, and, in one sense it's like, man, why can't he do that every lap? Or you're telling yourself, why can't I do that every lap? But when you have a car that's, not handling the way you like it to, or very inconsistent with the balance, it can be can make it a challenge. But I learned a lot from it. So although, it wasn't as great a day as it could have been, which really it was a solid day, all things considered, and us recovering from that issue early with the throttle. I learned a lot from the car not being exactly where I wanted it, because I'm still learning the cars. So, even if it was perfect, I may not be driving it to its full potential. So driving a car that doesn't have a perfect balance is teaching me a lot, and I think it's only going to help me throughout the rest of the year. Which track on your schedule are you looking forward to most? That is a very difficult question to answer, because there isn't really a track that I'm not looking forward to going to. There's quite a few new ones that I'm excited to go to. Homestead being one of them. I didn't get to race there last year, or start the race, I should say. So that's going to be a lot of fun this weekend, and knowing it's a doubleheader now is exciting, because we get to run it back-to-back days. I'd say Texas is one of the ones I'm most excited to go to, because it was my best track in a truck last year, and although they drive way different, I just really like the track itself. So I think I'll have a solid, have an opportunity to have a solid race there. If we still go there twice, obviously, schedule permitting. But I really like that track, and Daytona and Talladega are going to be fun. Talladega is the only super speedway I've ever raced at. It was in a truck last year, and I haven't been to Daytona yet. And Richard Childress Racing has a phenomenal super speedway program. Our ECR engines are great, our bodies are great on our Chevy Camaros, and they always have great speed there. So I'm looking forward to running my first two super speedways with them this year at both those tracks, and having an opportunity to take my number 21 team and hopefully get a win at one of those, if not both of them. Is it hard to hear spotter and crew chief in the car? No, because you have ear molds that are molded to your ear. They fit really well. And with those in, your helmet on, compressing that, it blocks a significant amount of noise, and you could turn your radio volume up too, which will help you hear them better. You love listening to the radio. I know it's very cool. I always loved listening as a fan to the communication of the drivers, and I still listen mainly to my teammates. Mostly Tyler Reddick. I listen to Austin Dillon's too, but the reason I listen to Tyler a little bit more is because Tyler actually is the same spotter as me. Derek Nealon, he's been spotting Tyler for the last couple of years, and he's moved to the Cup Series with Tyler, and he's spotting me in the Xfinity Series. So I like to just continue to familiarize myself with his vocabulary, the way he speaks during a race, the way he calls out certain situations on track, and of course just relays information throughout the course of a race. How do you travel between races? We fly on a plane, our team, for the further distance races. Recently we've been competing at tracks that are driving distance, and they don't want too many people per vehicle, but I have been riding with my crew chief, just continuing to bond and build some chemistry and develop a great relationship that's allowed us to, or I think will continue to allow us to just keep getting better together, on track and off track. How much do you eat, hydrate the day of a race as well as the day before? Does your diet factor into how you race, or does it really not play a factor? It plays a tremendous factor. Definitely has a role. So this is interesting, because this weekend we're running at Homestead-Miami Speedway 2 days in a row, Saturday and Sunday, and I sweat a lot. I know it might be too much information for some of you, but the reason I say this is because I have to drink a ton of fluids to hydrate leading into a race. One of the most important things in my pre-race hydration is Pedialyte, and Advocare Rehydrate works well too. So those products just supply me with a lot of electrolytes. I also use this, I hate to call it a supplement, but it's called the Right Stuff, and it's very salty. It has a lot of sodium in it, but it helps your body retain water. Because I sweat so much, that helps me hold water back. And like I said, I sweat a lot, so this weekend's going to be very difficult for me because I get out of the car, and even if I drink plenty of fluids, I'm always a little bit dehydrated at the very least. So to be able to rehydrate again in less than 24 hours for the next race is going to be difficult, especially when you try to get enough sleep in for the next race, because our Saturday race is at 3:30, I believe, and the next race, the race the following day is at noon. So it's not going to be easy, but I'll just, for an example of what I eat and drink, this past weekend was I actually had about 1.5 gallons of water. I had 2 large Pedialytes, which are 33 fluid ounces each. So now we're up to approximately 2 gallons of liquid. And I also had 2 more bottles of water before getting into the car. I sucked one back right there on the grid and one a little bit earlier. So I had somewhere around 2 gallons or just over. I would just say approximately 2 gallons of liquid, which is probably, honestly, I drink quite a bit. I drink 1 gallon a day casually to stay hydrated, especially with working out and training. Sometimes a little bit more. Sometimes I'm not too great about it. I have a little bit less. But on a race week, especially with the doubleheader this weekend, I'm going to be drinking a ton and try to hit that goal at least every day. Drink my body weight in ounces at the very least is what you should have daily. So like I said, we try to expand that. And I always drink a lot on a race day, but I almost feel like this past weekend was the most I've ever had. And I'm going to have to do that again and then some because of the fact there's 2 races back to back. What are the tracks that make you lose sleep the night before a race? I'd say there really isn't a single one. Honestly, this past weekend I didn't sleep super well before the race, not because I was nervous or anything like that. I was just very excited about it to get back into the car, race at a track I have been to before, and I was just pumped up about it. So I just kind of had the positive vibes flowing, and it was tough to get plenty of sleep in. Do I think I could win at Miami, Robbie? Yes, that's a great question. So I think, right now we've been very consistent. We're trying to improve our finish every single week, and with the team I have and the equipment we have, especially with the notebook they've built in the last few years, especially last year in particular during their championship season with Tyler Reddick and him being so great at that racetrack, I think that's going to help me a lot and help me be in contention. Me never racing there before the first race on Saturday is going to be a challenge. But I think with everything I learned, if I'm not in contention that day and we could have a solid run, still finish towards the front of the field, we could be running up front the next day as long as we keep the car clean and obviously take some notes from the day before. Me learn a lot of things in the car, learn a lot on pit road as a team, and my crew chief will be learning stuff on the strategy side. We'll know what works, what didn't work. My spotter will be seeing a lot, and we'll all be able to sit back down that night and go over things and be even better prepared for the following day. And if we don't have a great day the first day, we can definitely go have a better one the next. But obviously our goal is to have a successful day both days. How hard is it balancing racing and school? It's extremely difficult. So this semester I actually have taken off from UNC Charlotte. I've been studying engineering there, and the reason I did that was because of how hard it is to balance the two. Obviously, college is very important to me. My education is in general, and I felt like with the opportunity to have at Richard Childress Racing to compete in the NASCAR Xfinity Series is something I want to focus on fully and take full advantage of. So being in school kind of takes away from that because I have to split my focus, and that's the hardest thing. Is I feel like I'm pretty good at time management, and I'm a very organized person, but it's tough because not only do I want to focus on this opportunity, but if I'm getting an education in general, especially at the college level, I want to take full advantage of that too. And if I can't put 100% into either one, I'm going to have to sacrifice the other. And obviously in this case, that was my current education. So I'm just over halfway through college. I'm 2.5 years in, but we're on hold right now to try to take advantage of these incredible opportunities that the good Lord's blessed me with in my career. Worked hard to be here, and I'm working really hard to make the most of it. So that's why I want to keep focusing on that. Talk about the importance of getting into the top 12 in owners points, Josh told me. So that's I'm glad you brought that up, Josh. So I mentioned earlier there's a random drawing for starting position each week right now because we don't have practice and no qualifying. So the way they draw is the first through 12th draw, obviously first in owners points draws, second all the way through 12th, and that's it, that block. So you're going to start, if you're in the top 12 in owners points, you're going to start somewhere between 1st and 12th. Then it's 13th through 24th, and so on, every 12 positions. So for us, we're currently just outside the top 12, or 13th. So we're going to start between 13th and 24th. And last week, we drew 24th. So we started the absolute worst we possibly could. And hopefully this week, we could start better. Hopefully we'll draw a 13. At Darlington, we drew 14th. So hopefully we'll be better this time. But the absolute best we could start is 13th. But like I said, there's every 12 positions in owners points is where you draw currently, since we don't have any qualifying. What is my most... Oh, wait, hold on. A lot of questions popped in. So, drinking so much liquids before the race, don't you end up having to use the restroom during the race? I think you sweat so much, you kind of sweat some of it out. I have had to go pee during a race before, but it was like very faint, and it was under a caution, and we went back green flag racing. I forgot about it because of the adrenaline and all that, but I fortunately have never peed myself in the race car. For those of you who don't know, that is your only option if you have to pee really bad in the car. But fortunately, I haven't been in that position yet or had to do that. I always go to the bathroom right before I get in the car. I pee throughout the day because I drink so much fluids. Like I said before, I sweat so much and I have to drink so much. I try to stay ahead of that. So, on the grid right after the national anthem and the invocation, try to go pee really quickly and then get in the car so that I don't have to worry about that. My most awkward fan experience. I haven't really had anything that awkward, fortunately, but the one that stands out to me is when I was racing the K&N Pro Series East. I was racing at Bristol. I was teammates with Harrison Burton, and we actually ran out of hero cards. So someone had me sign, they got one of Harrison's hero cards, Harrison signed it, and then they got another Harrison Burton hero card and had me sign it, which made no sense, but I guess I didn't have anything else I could sign, so it was just kind of funny. But that's the only thing that stands out to me like that. I don't really... Oh, no, this is worse. This is funnier, and this is actually Harrison too. I don't know, Harrison, if you're watching this or checking this video out, I don't know what it is with you and I and these fan experiences, but at Auto Club, I was there the next day for the Cup race. I was actually staying the week, and I was hanging out with FaZe Clan, showing them around, giving them a tour of the racetrack, and watching the race together. Well, we were outside of Austin Dillon's hauler, and a young boy was looking at me like, when you could tell a fan and wants to say hello or something. So I smiled, and he came over and he asked for my autograph in his book, and he said, "Can you sign this?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely, bud." So I signed the book, and then I'm pretty sure I did number 21 next to my name, and he said, "Congrats on the win yesterday." And I was like, I said, I finished 6th. And he said, "Aren't you Harrison Burton?" Because Harrison won the race. And I was like, "No, I'm Anthony Alfredo." And he was like, "Oh." I was like, "Oh, okay." Kid has no clue who I am. Or just, he just wasn't an Anthony Alfredo fan, or he just never heard of me, whatever. But it was just so funny. I was like, no, sorry. I'm not him. Okay, so next question. I was hoping you're hoping Pocono race has fans so that you could potentially meet me. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm racing at Pocono yet. Hopefully I am, but if I am, yes, that definitely is going to be a bummer. Much like all these races, I miss seeing all of our fans at the racetrack and signing autographs, taking pictures, and having people there to experience the show live in person, not just on TV. Jinx, you can watch the race on Fox Sports 1. Having just gone from a lot of iRacing to a real car, was there a big difference that stood out? The biggest thing that stood out is just the physical aspect and the mental aspect, too, of, the fatigue and how hot it is in the car, the G-forces and the seat of your pants feeling, and all those kinds of things. You're not quite as timid on the simulator because there's a reset button, or even if you're in a race where you can't necessarily fix the car if you destroy it. It's just something different, right? Because there's no sorts of no sensation that has you acting as timid as you would in real life, so to speak. You'd think having to go pee so badly would make you drive harder so you finish quicker. Well, the thing is, you can only go so fast, and if you have 15, 20 laps to go and you have to pee really bad, you're not gonna, when we talk about going faster each lap, we're talking about fractions of a second, and by fractions of a second, I mean tenths of a second. So, we consider 0.2 of a second to be a significant amount, because at 185 to 200 miles per hour, 0.2 of a second is can be whole car lengths to the next guy at the line. So if you're 0.2 faster a lap and you're a few car lengths behind someone, you can catch them pretty quick. So like I said, so going back to that, you can't really go that much faster, and you wouldn't be able to finish that much quicker necessarily. And if a caution came out, you'd be really bummed, because now you're going there, slower. You're thinking about it, and you just want to get it over with, I guess. In your case, is what you're saying. Road Dog, I'd love to iRace with you. So we do this cool thing on Sundays. This Sunday I wasn't able to because I just gotten back from the Xfinity Series race, but we do Subscriber Sunday, which is so much fun. Race with all my viewers here on Twitch and just a bunch of friends through iRacing, race fans, and all kinds of people, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been really enjoyable to do. So you hop in there sometime. I usually run fixed setup races, and the races I host with the fans are all fixed setup. So like I said, I don't have that many car setups, but I could help you out with some things, and it's fun when we all get into a race together and we all have the same setup and just battle it out. Hopefully Daytona will have fans, Ty. We'll see. NASCAR's been doing a great job with all of their personnel, their sponsors, and all of the racetracks and their personnel to organize these races. So we're kind of playing it by ear. Obviously, as of now, I'm scheduled to run 17 races this year in the NASCAR Xfinity Series for Richard Childress Racing. And the RCR, myself, every other race team, we're all kind of playing it by ear and just going with the flow, so to speak. Just awaiting NASCAR's announcements with each tracks and where we're going to go compete at, and they're releasing X amount of events at a time. So now they've actually got us with what they announced last week. They've got us scheduled out for the next few weeks, or next just over a month, I believe. So I'm very excited about that, kind of knowing where we're going to go race at, and it's kind of jumbled some of the races in the schedule that I'm currently scheduled to run, but that's why on my website, if you check out my schedule, we only have what's been announced so far, rather than having the original schedule. And we've been to some tracks earlier now, or we're going to be. We might go to some later. So it's just kind of jumbled it and changed things, so to speak. So we're playing it by ear, and that's what we're trying to release on my end of where I'm competing at, since I'm obviously not running the full season, although I'm running the majority of the season. We want to be sure to have all that right for you guys, where you can expect to see me race and hopefully meet me and hopefully I can meet you guys when fans get back to the track in time. But like I said, NASCAR's been doing a great job dropping the schedule little bits at a time, and allowing us to even go race in the first place and put on shows for the fans who are able to at least watch back at home with their friends and family. But obviously, getting them back there to the track in real life is going to be super exciting. We know Homestead's going to have some military personnel, and Talladega's allowing some fans as well, which will be great to see and very exciting for the sport. I didn't know that was announced nicely. Where did you see that at? Xfinity is not running Michigan. This is news to me. I have not seen that. When was that announced? Because that is one of the races I was originally scheduled to run. Maybe change in the future. Yeah, like I said, I was slated to run that race. That was so we'll have to see what happens with that. That's just another event we'll play by ear. Okay. Do you think if you keep up the great finishes, you can become full-time? Well, that's the plan. So this year, we didn't have enough sponsorship, enough funding to run full-time, but that's okay. I think, obviously, that much more seat time would have been a lot better, and we'd have the opportunity to compete for a championship. But with the position we're in, I'm blessed to be racing as many races as I am nonetheless. So I plan to continue taking full advantage of them, doing my job every week, and like you said, finishing well like I have been. If I keep that up, continue the consistency, the solid runs, and just keep getting better each week, I have something to build on for next year, which is ultimately running full time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and that's our goal right now. So just want to best prepare myself for that, make the most out of this year, and better prepare myself for next year. And as I continue to do well, build relationships with our current partners and of course new partners, so that we can sign on to run full time next year. Ty, can I talk about my Texas crash last year? Absolutely. So what happened was I was running the NASCAR Gander Outdoors and RV Truck Series race. It was the first Texas race, and we ran there twice. And the first race, I had a really bad crash there. It was by far the worst one I've had, and and hopefully the worst I ever have had. So race cars are very sensitive to air, especially the trucks, because they're very, when you're alone with nobody around you in a truck, they have a ton of grip because there's so much side force and down force. Well, when you're around other trucks, that air is distorted, and it isn't any car. The Xfinity cars are the same way. You can get your handling and your balance will shift when you get around other cars, but the trucks are very sensitive because they're so reliant on the air. So we call that aero dependent. Well, I was actually heading into turn one, and I kind of got a little bit free, which means the car lost quite a bit of grip, and I was already a little bit, kind of edgy getting into the corner, and another truck had, been outside of me and came down, and when you get side by side, you don't even have to touch, and if you're outside of somebody, you can spin the guy on the inside out, and sometimes wreck yourself when that happens, because what you do is you take all that side force away. So think about it as the car's in the corner and there's all this force pushing on the right side to hold the car on the racetrack, and of course down force pushing it down. So when you're behind another race car, you lose all that air on the front of the car, and it's hard to turn, or sometimes it gets sideways. Well, the same thing happens when someone's beside you. It makes you sideways because it pulls all that side force off. So I was a little bit free to begin with, and when that other truck got beside me, it spun me out. I slid all the way up the track, and the new Texas layout, turn 1 and 2 were very flat. So I slid up the racetrack. I hit the wall really hard. It kind of hit with the left rear, then slapped the nose. The oil tank had split open, so all the oil dumped out and caught on fire, and the fuel line had busted, and all the fuel caught on fire, so the entire truck was on fire. So it was pretty scary looking, not as scary in the car. It all happened so fast. I got out really fast, and was okay, fortunately, and medical team was there really quickly to respond and put the fire out, which I was already out of the car at that point, but glad I was okay. I remember sitting in the infield care center and watching the replay on the TV because they were under red flag from the wreck, which means no cars were going around the track, not even under caution pacing. So when I saw it, I was thinking, wow, my mom's got to be super scared. Like, a lot of people are scared, but especially my mom, because you guys know how mothers worry, or parents do in general. And my mom and dad, I was glad to see them when I got out because they were very nervous about the whole thing. I didn't know how bad it was until I actually saw it from outside of the car. So, any closing questions or any questions regarding Homestead this week? We kind of went over Atlanta. We've talked about some general racing questions, which have been a blast to answer. I love talking about racing, as you can tell. It's my favorite thing in the world. It's my passion. And going over Homestead this weekend's a little pre-race questions, but you may have to whisper me if I don't remember, Drew. If I don't, let me check. Aha! So, that's a great place to end the stream off, Drew. Thank you for that. Everyone, thank you for the well wishes, the congratulations. And this past weekend, I look forward to continuing to make you all proud and do my part on the racetrack and off. I hope everyone's doing well, staying safe. Everyone's healthy. All your friends and family are too. I really appreciate the support. Like I said before, it's been awesome. You know, there's a lot of difficult times in the world right now, so would take a moment to think about all that's going on. But before I end the stream, I do want to mention that Joey and Hound Nuggets, because you guys tune in every stream and are here so often, I need some new moderators alongside Drew and our other few mods. So if you are interested, I would love to make you two moderators of the channel. Good luck at Homestead. Good luck. Great way fighting back last week. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all so much. All right, yes. All right, here we go. Mod. Is Joey still here? I don't see him. I'm modding him. New moderators in the Sauce Mafia. Let's go. All right, well, that's going to wrap up the stream. That's where I'm going to end it. Thank you all for tuning in. I loved answering your questions. I definitely plan on continuing to do this after each race, and it works out when we run back to back because we can kind of end it with, start it with post-race questions and end it with pre-race questions. But thank you all for the support. I want to thank Death Wish Coffee for the support this past weekend. It was awesome to rock their colors on the race car and represent them and have them as a partner. Of course, I want to thank my race team and my parents for supporting me, sparking my interest in racing. All of our partners and supporters who made this year possible and every other year prior to this, and hopefully the future. Looking forward to having iRacing back on the car this weekend for both Homestead races, Saturday and Sunday. The red, white, and blue iRacing number 21 Chevrolet Camaro is going to look incredible against those light blue or teal colored walls, you might call them, at turquoise, whatever you want to call them, at Homestead-Miami Speedway. It's going to be awesome. I'm pumped to go there and race. I hope you guys are excited to watch on Fox Sports 1. Like I said before, thank you all for the support. It's a pleasure to have Twitch as a platform to live stream for you all and post on all my other social medias at Anthony Alfredo if you want to check them out. YouTube channel, just Anthony Alfredo. This will go up there after, if for those who might want to check it out or if you want to go back and watch anything if you missed something. But nonetheless, I'll talk to you all later. Brendan, you redeemed a dab with your pasta points, so there you go. That arm, wait, what was I doing with my arm? Why did I flail like that? There we go. Gotta have sturdy one. There we go. Oh, man. I make myself cringe. I'm sorry. We should just end it. I always kind of ramble on at the end when I'm saying goodbye because the chat's delayed. So I always go on a little bit because chat keeps coming in and I don't want to like miss anything or end the stream and then see like one more question or something. We'll just end it there. So, all right. Thank you guys for the support, and I'll talk to you all later.